Hey everybody, Rap Devil here, back again with another album review for you guys. In today's review, I'm going to be talking about the newest studio album by rapper, singer, and actor Machine Gun Kelly called Hotel Diablo, which was released last year in 2019 on Bad Boys / Interscope Records. The new record Hotel Diablo is the somewhat needed follow-up to MGK's 2018 mixtape Binge, which unlike most people was a project that I actually kind of enjoyed. It wasn't anything special, but it was super energetic and hype and just a lot of fun to vibe with, which is something that I think a lot of people who hated it missed the point of. It wasn't meant to be anything that was supposed to change the rap scene as a whole. It was just a fun record, and I guess that's really all that matters. And with this new record Hotel Diablo, it strays away from the more gang/hood related themes that were wildly present on past records like General Admission and Lace Up, which is an album that I didn't really care for, but I did like General Admission. Instead, Hotel Diablo goes for more of an emotional and deeper approach to things like mental health and drugs, which MGK pretty much nails right into the wall. Something I've noticed about a lot of emotional hip-hop records these days is that a lot of them are failed attempts by mumble rappers to be edgy or hip with the kids and the music scene, who mainly just recycle lyrics constantly. MGK, however, is talking about real-life experiences that he has been through himself, and even talks about his parents and how he failed them, and how he really doesn't want to do the same to his daughter Cassie. He wants to be the parent that his parents never were for him. And in my opinion, that's something, along with a lot of other topics explored on this album, that I think a lot of other real rappers are too scared to explore, and it's really disappointing. I absolutely love that MGK decided to share his life story with us and be real with us, which, like I said before, is something that a lot of rappers and singers are too scared to do. It makes the record as a whole feel much more raw and realistic, especially because of the fact that MGK is using his actual life stories and experiences to create a proper theme and story for the album, instead of using the typical sugar-coated "I'm depressed" or "I want to die" like most musicians are into doing. Music to me is all about being raw and real and honest, and it's something that I wish more of today's rappers weren't too brainwashed or too restricted by management to do. Let's talk about some of the tracks now. Well, a few of the songs to me did feel rather weak and bland. I'm going to talk about some of the ones I did like. I'd have to say my favorite track on this album is I Think I'm Okay, featuring YUNGBLUD and Blink-182 drummer Travis Barker. It strays away from the hip-hop trap style of MGK's work into more of a pop-punk and emo-influenced track that's highly reminiscent of 2000s pop-punk bands or emo bands like Jimmy Eat World, The Used, and even Paramore, which is one of my favorite bands, by the way. YUNGBLUD's gritty vocals in the second verse and post-chorus make the song sound even more gritty and edgier than it already was, and it makes it feel like a pop-punk song that feels like it belongs on the record, despite being a different style than the rest of the songs on here. I feel like this song could definitely be the pop-punk anthem of today's youth, and that's really awesome. Another track that really hooked me in and got my attention was the single Glass House featuring singer and actress Naomi Wild. On this track, MGK is essentially shouting out and paying his respects to musicians who recently had their lives taken from them, such as the late rappers Lil Peep, Mac Miller, Nipsey Hussle, and he even pays respect to the late Chester Bennington of Linkin Park, which makes sense because he collaborated with them and even toured with them on the band's One More Light tour in support of their seventh studio album One More Light. It's an incredibly emotional and heartfelt track that really paints the picture of the influence that these musicians had on MGK's life, and he even goes a little deeper into his struggles and paints a really graphic and dark picture, talking about how he attempted to kill himself in the kitchen and how he was screaming for help but nobody heard. It's almost too raw to the point where it could easily strike anybody as scared for MGK's life and his mental health, which makes the song feel so much more raw and real. It's such an honest and raw standout track on this album. Like I was saying before, while most of the tracks on this record are very well written and produced and put together, there are some that really didn't interest me. There's very few that didn't interest me, actually. El Diablo was a track on here that I really didn't feel belonged on this record and could have just stayed as a non-album single. It's a rather braggadocious track where MGK talks about his success and how he deserves to be referred to as the greatest. It's an okay song, but it feels entirely out of place on this record of emotional ballads and should have just stayed as a non-album single. It's a good song, but not a good Hotel Diablo song. I also really didn't care that much for the track 53666 featuring Phem. It's an okay enough track, but it almost feels too edgy and too self-loathing, to the point where it just feels cheesy and predictable and boring, and it sounds too much like any other emo-influenced rap track that you could find anywhere on the SoundCloud popular page. I do appreciate emotional tracks and albums, but this one just feels almost too dark, and it doesn't paint the picture it should. Back to talking about some more positive things on the album, though. We're given some really solid features. We got Trippie Redd on the track Candy, and even though he's only given like a 20-second verse, he still manages to keep the song going very well. We're also given Little Skies on the track Burning Memories, which to me felt like it belonged there. MGK and Little Skies have a very similar style of emotional and dark music, which made it feel like they belong together on this track, and that's really good. To sum up this review, I really enjoyed this record. I mean, I love the dark and vivid picture it paints, and I feel like a lot of today's youth would be able to relate to some of the songs on here, which is really good and could help people feel less alone. I'm giving Machine Gun Kelly's newest record, Hotel Diablo, a 7.5 out of 10, and you already know I'll be reviewing Tickets to My Downfall when it's released. Now, before I close out this video, I just wanted to say that I hope everybody is doing well during this dark time, and that you're all staying safe and practicing the protocols that must be followed to keep each other safe. It's been really hard for me to remain calm, and I know it's probably hard for you guys too, but continue being strong and hopeful, and together we can all help each other. If needed, I'm going to give you guys some numbers you can call at the end of this video, and I'll leave them in the description too for people who need someone to talk to. Remember, you're not alone, and you never will be.